a bedridden devil is on. When a humble turd graced a ride along with Michael J. Crawford, along came this song. The Turdistan he fought, a bedridden devil, his army of clones at his jaw did they revel. They came after us, crossed the borderline, took all our offers to send down their mines, while the feathered beast read out dear Bob. So cried the trekker, this madness must stop. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty. The vile Carogans fled and hid what they had stole. The orphan was shackled and kept in the cold. But he did not relent. The Turd King was hell-bent. He slayed the Carogans, then to Bird's house he went. And with a mighty blow he struck that button red. The mighty bird folded in two by his bed. That's my epic tale, our champion prevailed. So let's drink a toast with some Romulan ale. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, oh planet of plenty, oh planet of plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your trekker, the great Turdistan.
Making your way with the nerds today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from hating JJ sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Death to Caroga!
Best theme song on the internets. Hey guys, Michael J. Crawford here. So, let's get right into it. Got a lot to cover. You can see Auntie is diligently sleeping. So, yes, keeping the dreams at bay. Carlo was first in the house, says hi. John says slow mode. Yes, slow mode. We got hit by our favorite troll again last night. And so slow mode is the easiest way to prevent that. It only prevents you from commenting more than once every 15 seconds. So it shouldn't be a major deal. But unfortunately, it's necessary as of right now in order to keep that kind of crap from going on. Sci-Fi Nation says, hail Caroga. Yeah. John DeMarco says, hello. Rock Salt says, got a notification, so unsubbing. Wow, you are kind of a jerk. Mark Andy says, hi. Alexander says, 11th. Rock Salt says, turn on the mic. I think I did. Carlo liked. Valor says, good morning, Turdistan. How you doing, Valor? Bird O'Prey, the evil dictator himself, says, Kapla. Yeah, we'll be talking, Bird. Sci-Fi Nation says, turn off the cam. You don't like the anti-cam? Greetings from Columbus, Ohio, says Mike Richards. Also liked, says Alexander. Thank you, my friend. Who's Caroga? Caroga is the evil nation led by the evil dictator Bird O'Prey 5. First it was death to Caroga, now last night, hail to Caroga. What's next? Well, here's the thing about that. I'll take this opportunity. I'm sorry, I'll get to the chat in just a moment. But we have a state of emergency going on here in Kurdistan. We are preparing for a full-scale invasion of Caroga. And you might be thinking, well, why in the world? Because Kurdistan is generally such a peaceful nation. Why are you gearing up for a full-scale invasion? Well, we have it on good authority that the Supreme Chancellor of the Klingon Empire has in fact been kidnapped by the Carogans and is being held against his will. Now, many people think that he has switched sides based on this propaganda video put out by the Carogan government, which I'll play a clip of right now. But what I want you to do is listen carefully. You can tell that it's edited a little bit because notice that he cuts him off right after he says what he has to say because he's trying to get out a message to try and get help. But he's trying to reach out for help but can't. And but listen to his voice. Listen to the fact that the lack of passion, the lack of conviction, and in fact the fact that you can tell he's there against his will, and compare that. Well, we'll get to it in just a second. So here we go.
I'm going to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail Caroga. That's all I'm saying.
So notice he cuts him off and then starts playing the Carogan national anthem. Again, notice to suggest that we all hail Caroga. Now notice he's very careful. That's why he's trying to get the message out to us. He's purposefully dropping hints that there's something wrong. I want to suggest that we all hail Caroga, not hail Caroga, but yeah, and he's telling us where he's being held.
However, to suggest that we all hail Caroga. That's all I'm saying.
And also notice how he purposefully mispronounces it. He says Caroga.
We all hail Caroga.
So it's clear that this is a call for help. Now, compare that to the passionate plea that you hear in the regular thing you hear from me.
Death to Caroga!
All right. Now, compare that.
That we all hail Caroga.
Death to Caroga!
You tell me which one comes from the heart. And besides that, even in that same live stream, before he was actually all the weapons were pointed at him and his family was being held hostage, so he's forced to say that against his will. When he thought he actually still had the ability to speak out, notice what he said.
Bird of Prey 5 says, "Kapla, JG. Caroga still believes in you, even if you don't believe in us. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hail Caroga."
Death to Caroga.
And again, listen to the passion in his voice. All right? We're not talking about, death to Caroga. No, he is passionately saying, death to Caroga.
Death to Caroga!
And it was not prompted by anything other than Bird o' Prey 5 himself trying to trick him into acknowledging Caroga. Notice that he was paid by Carogans to say hail Caroga, and even then all they could get was that tepid answer.
Caroga. That we all hail Caroga.
Death to Caroga!
Bird of Prey 5 says, "Kapla, JG. Caroga still believes in you, even if you don't believe in us. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hail Caroga."
Death to Caroga.
So, yeah, do not be fooled by the propaganda machine coming from Caroga. JG, you will be liberated, my friend. You will be free again. And so Thomas Potts, our military chief, is already working in conjunction with the EMU forces on a extraction plan. So, yes. So there you go, number one sci-fi. That's what it's all about. Sci-Fi Nation says, greetings, Anti-Tracker, the evil lying turd-stained dictator and his fellow nerds. Wow, you see, look at these lies from Caroga. Carlos says, love the intro, thank you, my friend. I do too, and Piano Dean and Aberjam get all the credit. Admiral Saval says, yo, Mikey. Now, come on, you can call me Michael, can't you? Roxall says, I think Anti-Tracker needs to stream my latest video here just for the gal with the homemade Wesley Crusher Season 1 sweater. I haven't seen your latest video yet, Rock Solid, but, you know, I thought you were working on something for this channel, but, you know, guess not. Sci-Fi Nation says, Caroga National Anthem is the best anthem. Hail Caroga. Wow, you really think that piece of garbage is the best anthem when you hear... I mean, come on, listen to... Again, it's a matter of perspective, sure, but if you listen to the Carogan National Anthem, it is clearly oppressive. It is clearly meant to beat down the people of Caroga to keep them from revolting. Let me bring it up here again so that we can... because here's the funny thing. All right, so we're not going to play the whole thing, but if we go back to that...
Caroga. That's all I'm saying.
So compare that to...
When a humble turd graced a ride along with Michael J. Crawford, along came this song.
But if that's not enough, now that's our national anthem, but then our official fanfare is even better. It's the most welcoming open song in the history of song. I mean, what more welcoming theme could you possibly get than Cheers? That we're all one community, that we're all together, that we love each other, that we care about each other.
Sure would help a lot.
So, yeah. The worst anthem ever. Carlos says, wow, I was first. Cool. What do I do? What do I win? You win the internet today. Aberjam is here, says, greetings. Oh, great Turdistanny, playing The Witcher and listening to Turd Talk, my favorite thing to do. Very cool, Aberjam. By the way, Aberjam, we need your help. I know that you are still being held in Caroga, and so can you confirm whether or not Chancellor Martok is being held in the same proximity as you? As we're trying to narrow down the exact position of where he's being held. Darren is in the house, says, couldn't stay up last night to see the stream. Sorry, my friend. I know it's late. I hate my new schedule, but I got to deal with it. Darth Maul says, no notification. And did you hear that Amber Head is a Turdistanny? She left her membership on Johnny Depp's bed. I did not hear about that. And John DeMarco says, the Martok who said hail to Caroga had both his eyes, so he must be a changeling imposter. No, I will vouch. I'm not going to try and defame the great Martok like Berta Prey did on his channel, where Berta Prey, when he first heard Martok saying death to Caroga, kept trying to suggest it was a changeling. No. The changeling Martok was dispatched many, many years ago. However, what happened was Martok had corrective surgery so that even though one eye is artificial, but at least he looks normal again. So it's not, he's not a changeling. And in fact, before both live streams that he appeared on, we did do blood tests to make sure of that fact. And also phaser sweeps. It's not invasion, it's a liberation, not to be confused with libation. That's true, it's more of a liberation of Caroga that we're going to be doing here. Maybe he should have wrote the help message on his eyelids. Well, he didn't have a pen to do so, or he probably would have, but we could definitely tell what he was trying to say. Listen carefully to his message, and it's obvious. And the funny thing is of course, Berta Prey 5 and his Secret Service were too inept to figure it out. Quick change the street names. The Turdistannies will get lost. Trust me, I'm British. Well, hopefully he doesn't do that. He sounds like he was paid to say death to Caroga. No, he was paid to say hail Caroga. Legacy says, I'm so confused. Sci-Fi Nation says, Turdistanny lies. You will pay for the insolent anti-dragger. Hail Caroga, cry havoc, let slip the sassies of war. And Berta Prey says JG didn't get the super chats. I'm not even sure. No, he could see the chat. That I do know. He could see the chat. Because he responded to the chat directly a couple times without being prompted by Axonar. So, yeah, he was reading the chat. But, yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I did super chat, but I didn't, I didn't prompt him to say death to Caroga until after you guys were trying to trick him. But I did throw a super chat in at the very beginning of the live stream. Never got read, but just that I appreciated him as being the greatest Klingon of all time. Shomer said, Andrew and fellow nerds, I had just arrived and I was seeing the real Chancellor Martok has been saying, Hail Caroga. I knew it. The other Martok was a changeling. Hashtag Martok was a changeling. Now, we already covered all that, Shomer. The Hail Caroga message was forced by the evil Carogans. Emu forces, that's right, Bird. Yep. So the emus have joined forces with us. You didn't know about that because you're so busy obsessing over Martok that you haven't been paying attention. JG got so sick of the Carogans that he said it to shut them up. I think you're probably partially right there, but I do think that he is their prisoner at this point. They already defeated Australia after all. Well, yeah, the Australians and the emus are actually partnering with us to liberate Chancellor Martok. JG wasn't reading the chats, Trigger, and Trey got the super chats. More Turtistani lies. JG was reading. Go back and watch it. JG was, in fact, reading the chat. There's a couple of times in the stream where he was specifically looking at the chat. You know, maybe you should have Aberjam make a song called Death to Caroga to clear things up once and for all. Australia went to war with emus and lost. That's never a good sign. Well, that's why the emus are on our side. Shomer and Sci-Fi, both diehard Carogans. They will die as Carogans, cowardly and probably in a hole. I'm working on it. I responded to on Discord to you. I was at a convention this past week, and I think the window for episode 2 passed. I'll have episode 3 for Friday. Well, I told you what you should do for episode 2. I do think you should do that. Kind of get a setup, but that's up to you. I don't know how much time you have. I played the Carogan Anthem just before I played Hunt for Red October. It was awesome. Shomer says free Auntie. Auntie is completely free. She is not, she's right here. You can see, but she's diligently sleeping. Yes, I'm sorry to bother you, girl. But yes, Auntie is free. Carogan National Anthem sounds like communist propaganda. It is, in fact, communist propaganda. Slow mode, yes, the slow mode is on for the time being because of what happened with the spammer last night. It's basically the problem is that's the only way to really stop the spammers is if you keep slow mode on to where you can only leave one chat per 15 seconds. Yes, it's annoying sometimes if you want to leave a multi-part chat, but it's a necessary thing in order to prevent people from doing the incredibly obscene things they were doing last night. And I'm sorry, but I don't need to see the N-word on my screen 150 times over. And yeah. Live with Matthew says, no notifications, unsub. I thought it was mean you need to resub, actually. Sire, the peasants are revolting. You're telling me they stink on ice. Yes, that's actually, that line from History of the World was actually borrowed from Caroga. Let's see. Peter says, I kept a community company earlier with a live stream. I saw that. I'm sorry I couldn't join you, but I was at an appointment. But I did see you were online earlier. Carlos says, hey, I win the internet. Is that netting inside of shorts? Andrew, hope you're well. I'm all right, but yeah, the netting inside your shorts is the internet. Yes, that's true. Mr. Miles in the house says, JG is quickly turning into my favorite Trek actor. It's so damn cool that he's doing stuff for his fans. I agree. That is really, really cool. And I did extend an invitation to him to join on this channel if he ever has time in the near future, and I did, and actually, just so you guys know, all kidding aside for a moment, if such an event does happen, Bird will be there. And so I wanted to have a panel of myself, Bird, and Lore Reloaded talking to him if possible. The JG Hetzler live stream was a blast. It really was. He was on another live stream just yesterday, and that's where the Hail Caroga crap came from. But that live stream was clearly just an opportunity for a Caroga to take him prisoner. Hasn't JG appeared in some fan productions? He's actually an Axanar. That's and so he plays a Starfleet, I think Admiral or Commodore or something in Axanar. JG should start a podcast if he wanted, and he could probably do very well. He has good personality for it, and of course the voice. He does. He needs some better equipment because his audio was cutting in and out. He could use a better microphone, but that's not his bag. I mean, he's actually doing a one-man show as Mark Twain right now that he's very proud of. He's done a lot of stuff besides Trek. It's just that we all know him as General Martok / Chancellor Martok. But and he actually ran for the Senate as well. Didn't succeed, but he ran as an independent for Senate. And so, yeah, it's not like he's not busy. Mantrigger knows he didn't have a pen. Maybe it was a Turdistanes again. JG not in Caroga. No, he's definitely in Caroga. Peter says, according to Bird of Prey 5, WTC, I foe a good Martok. Huh? Peter, I think something went wrong with your typing there. Don't know if there are any Klingons here, but met a very nice man in the mines yesterday. He had a very distinguished silvery hair and a nice hat. Forgot his name, but it was mostly initials. That's probably him, Aberjam. So do me a favor and try to keep it on the down low. Don't let the guards see you, but try to let him know that help is coming. We are just dropping off the dog for his snipping, and the dog gives us such a sad look like he knows he's losing his boys. Yep, poor dog. Anti-Trekker is a changeling? No, I'm definitely not a changeling. Death to Caroga, says Jeff. Indeed, my friend.
Death to Caroga!
Listen to that voice.
Death to Caroga!
Full of passion, full of life. Not, Hail Caroga. His answer about working with non-Calicos, man, I get those names horrible. It was great. Seemed like he didn't get asked that a lot. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's amazing how well he remembers a lot of this stuff. So I think that's really cool. I think anti-triggers are confusing alpacas and emus. No, I'm actually, the emus are on our side. The alpacas, that's what you guys isn't that what you use for your mounted cavalry, is alpacas? Mr. Bao says, I got another spin for you. Martek was just praising an enemy before he destroys them for good, respecting his enemy. It's very Klingon. That's true too. And notice, like, the way he says it, I want to recommend that we all hail Caroga. Now, he didn't say, hail Caroga, like he was saying Caroga, acknowledging them as a great thing. He was simply saying we should hail Caroga, like Kirk would say to Uhura, hail the Klingon ship. That's really what it was. He was just trying to open up a dialogue with Caroga, but instead is betrayed by them. Sci-Fi Nation said, correcting something to say being John. Oh, John. Yeah, yes. That's why I was struggling with the name. By the way, I picked up the BSG game, so far undefeated. Of course you are. You're probably cheating. But it's you got to admit, Baird, it's an awesome game. So hopefully we can play a match together sometime. I would love to do that. Look into Nightbot for YouTube. Nightbot for YouTube? Never heard of it. What is that? Nightbot for YouTube. Nightbot is a chat box for Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer. Allows you to automate your live streams chat with moderation if you knew. Oh, very cool. I'll check that out. So to try and keep the spammers at bay. Some people need to grow up. Indeed, that was really nasty what happened. For all you tunes, favorite famous algorithms, you'd think they could pick up the N-word being used over and over and over and over and something to do about it. Yeah, I know. But actually, the thing is, it's not the N-word being used over and over because that's his username. His username was N-word, 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 and then he just put into the chat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that makes the chat very short. And so the algorithm just sees this user putting number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, which could be completely legit depending on the circumstances in that live stream. But the problem was him using the N-word. And someone explained to me that the reason that some people can get away, because like if you try to, most of us try to create an account and put the username as the N-word 25 times, then that account would immediately get shut down and YouTube would say, no, you can't use a profanity. However, if your account happens to originate in a foreign country, then that could be why it was allowed, because it's basically tricks the system into thinking that could be a non-profanity in their language. Enter your Discord message, me during doing Martalk. More bloody spammers. Yeah, I tell you, it was bad. It was really bad. I'm not sure. Are you saying you sent me a Discord message, Peter? Yes, you did. Let me see. What did you do? And what is open.
Death to Caroga. Death to Caroga.
It's a little on the quiet side, but not bad. All right, back to the chat. Where was I? Let's see. There's Nightbots. I'm going to need to grow up. Peter. Okay. Alexander's here. Hello. How is your gift? Okay. So Alexander sent me a couple of things, and I've been waiting. I haven't actually showed them off to anybody yet, Alexander, because I was waiting for you to be on the chat. So I'll be honest with you. So he sent me an outfit to wear. I don't think I'm going to be wearing it. So here are the shorts. Yeah, definitely not my style, and I don't think that I could fit in that anyway. And by the way, neither could Mrs. Anti-Trekker, because they're way too small. Now here's now this piece here is like a spaghetti strap top here. So again, kind of. I see. It's actually not even. It's more like, see, there's nothing there. It just drapes over your head like that. And then we have this piece here. Yeah. And then I don't even know what. I guess these are like handcuffs. And so this whole thing is supposed to come together as being the Princess Leia, Slave Leia outfit. The problem is, and this is what Mrs. Anti-Trekker said when I showed her this. Now, you've seen pictures of Mrs. Anti-Trekker, right? Now, she said, yeah, those are going to cover my boobs. Yeah, not going to happen. And obviously, too small for me. So, very thoughtful, I guess, Alexander. But yeah, that's not going to work. The other thing, though, this is actually kind of cool, is, and I assume this came from you as well, or was, well, one of them, actually, I'm not sure on that one, on the Princess Leia thing. Oh, and I missed a piece. There's another piece there. But this, it's actually kind of cool, Alexander, is a Romulan action figure. Very, very nice. And the funny thing about it is you can tell that the people at, what's the name of this company? I guess Marty Abrams? So the people at Marty Abrams, or whatever the name of the company is, They don't really understand Star Trek very well. And the reason I say this is why I like the overall look of the character. Notice, this side, notice the weapon he's holding. That's a Type 2 phaser. Why isn't he holding a disruptor? And look, a communicator. They're just painted red. However, I like it overall. So thank you. Very cool, my friend. So I will find a place for that. What do you think, Martok?
Death to Caroga!
Agreed. All right. Peter says, JG is a friend of mine on Facebook. We talk politics. Very cool. And Mark Twain, of course, but yeah, JG is on Gods and Men too. Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. I thought he was in one of the other fan productions. I do a good Martok, Andy Drinker, Bird of Prey, and I'm not sure who that is. And Captain Trek said, catch-ups are on the way. I'm looking forward to that for sure, Alexander. Definitely looking forward to that. I'll do a better recording my headset mic with nothing in the background. No worries, Peter. Take your time, my friend. All the spammers use VPN. Probably. It would be smart, because otherwise they could get in trouble. Hearing Martok say Death to Caroga is better quality, has a better quality and punch to it than Martok saying Death to Turdistan. It just wouldn't sound right. Yeah. But, you know, and just listening to him say Hail Caroga was like, yeah, all right, fine. Agitator, have you adjust my mics? I have to adjust my mic settings again. It wasn't that quieter earlier, Bird of Prey, was it? Well, it's just, yeah, when I played it, that's how quiet it was. I don't even understand. Oh, you didn't send the Leia outfit? So somebody else sent the Leia outfit. So I have no idea who sent the Leia outfit, because it just came in an Amazon package. So I assumed it was you, Alexander, because it came at the same time as the Romulan. But so whoever sent it, thanks, I guess. New Star Trek series, Section 31 to start filming when Discovery... I'll believe it when I see it. Cinnabon says, wow, please never wear that. Don't worry, I won't. I'll tell you what, I could wear this part, and then come up with some improvisational way around the rest. But it would take a huge financial donation to get me to do that. So, yeah. Like huge, like retirement level huge. You don't know what the Princess Leia outfit is? Put the bra on, I bet you'd look fetching. Well, like I said, pay me enough money to retire, and I will do so. It's perfect for Lore Reloaded. That is what I said. So the Romulan is what you said. I gotcha. How's Battlestar Galactica Deadlock treating you? It's very cool. I like the game a lot. And so I am looking forward to... now that I'm starting to get the hang of the how the Battlestars, well, I haven't actually built a Battlestar yet, but the destroyers and stuff, I like them. And it's an interesting game because there's no one, it's a well-balanced strategy game because you can't just pick one ship and spam that ship to make an effective fighting force. And your fighting force is limited to 7 capital ships, so that makes it interesting in that you can't just outbuild the other guy by building 25 Battlestars or something. So I think that's actually interesting. There are 2 variations of the disruptor prop on TOS, and parts of the disruptors were used for an engineering scanner. Yes, but neither of them are a Type 2 phaser. Maybe those are for Lore, as I think Alex wants a super chat with Lore wearing it. I don't think Lore could squeeze into that. That's Mago for you. They made Gorns brown, and I put them in Klingon. Wait, that's Mago for you. They made Gorns brown, and I put them in Klingon uniforms. The original 70s version of that Romulan, it's the same, but without the sash. Well, I like the sash, and like I said, I like the Romulan sans phaser. It's just the phaser makes no sense. Is this your stream for the day? Yes, because in a couple of hours I work, and I work until midnight Eastern again, and then I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for an appointment. So there's no way I can do a stream after work tonight. And so I'm going to, Thomas, so remember before I was doing on Monday, I would do a stream in the evening, Tuesday I would do a stream in the morning. I'm going to stick with that part of it. As far as this will probably be the regular Tuesday stream time, but I have not figured out what I'm going to do tomorrow yet, honestly. I do want to do a subscriber event of some kind. I'm actually thinking of trying to get it set up so that we can start watching watching movies or TV shows together on the subscriber streams. That's something that I've been wanting to play with, and I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm going to, tomorrow morning after my appointment, I'm going to try to dedicate a couple of hours to rigging it up so that I can play sound on the Vimeo stream from a video source so that we could watch, say, Threshold or something together, just for fun. And Peter says, get Laura to wear it. I don't think he would wear it. For all the money in the world, I wouldn't wear it. Oh, for all the money in the world, I'll wear that every day. Sci-Fi says, DJ said he'd wear that bikini for $500. I'll bet he'd wear it for less. Behind the card, it says original reproduction of the toy. Really? So, like, it's supposed to be a reproduction of the original, Romulan Commander action figure. I'd have to look it up. I never had the Romulan one. I had the Klingon one, and I had the entire bridge crew. What would it be like when Barney and the Simpsons wore a bikini? I heard DJ would wear it for $50 if he gets to wear fishnets, too. He'd probably wear the fishnets for free, though. Actually, he's probably wearing fishnets right now. What actually is Marvel's WandaVision, a live-action show? What actually is Marvel's WandaVision, a live-action show coming to Disney+? Are you planning to watch any new live-action Marvel Disney Plus shows? I'm planning on watching every live-action Marvel Disney Plus show, and I will do reviews of them. I'm very much looking forward to it. Actually, WandaVision is going to probably be weird and different, and I'm looking forward to it. Same with the Hawkeye show. I'm really looking forward to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think they're going to be fun. And so I honestly can't wait. That Super Bowl commercial highlighting them, I'm excited. Kathleen Kennedy hints that an upcoming Star Wars movie will be directed by a woman. I don't care. And when I say that, it's not that I don't care that there's an upcoming Star Wars film. I don't care what the gender of the director is. That means nothing to me. That is just virtue signaling, and it's completely and utterly meaningless. And thank you, Mr. Miles sent me a picture of the original Romulan, and I guess the original Romulan, if that is indeed the original packaging for the Romulan action figure, it did indeed have the red phaser just like this one. The only real difference is the sash is different and the pants are different. Oh, let me bring it up here. So first, here's this Romulan, all right? Now, you'll notice when you see the other one, which I'll bring up in a minute, the head and the helmet are exactly the same. All right. The phaser and communicator are exactly the same, but the clothes are different. And so let me hit the button so you can see it. There's the original. And so interesting that they changed it in those particular ways.
Death to Caroga!
Thank you, Mr. Miles, for looking that up for me. I do appreciate it. Thomas says, today is only Tuesday, son of a bitch. Yes, today is only Tuesday, son of a bitch, indeed. Dan says, an upcoming Star Wars movie could be set in a new High Republic era, which I think is 500 years before the sequel trilogy. I think that would be a bad idea. Do not do anything that takes place before anything else that we've seen in Star Wars. Go 500 years in the future. Please stop rehashing stuff we already know about. Do something new. Go in a new direction, whatever. But if you do it in such a way that it takes place in the future, not the past, people aren't going to be saying, well, actually, in the Old Republic, this is supposed to happen. And so you can free yourself of that. Move freaking forward. Same mistake Discovery made. Move forward. Stop trying to go back. It's pronounced Mego. They made the original Star Trek action figures in the 70s. Okay, thank you. Threshold is a good episode, says Alexander, because Alexander would say that. Vivian looked at the outfit and she said no. yeah. It's kind of same thing with Mrs. Andy Tricker. Although, like I said, I'll wear this for a huge financial donation. But it has to be, we're talking Trump, huge. I just saw your Discord. Maybe I'll see what I can do. I'm on baby duty every night this week, so filming won't be tough. I understand that, rock solid. And again, I appreciate your and everybody else's efforts in this, but we want to keep if possible, we want to get the content flowing so that we can keep the channel moving in the right direction. You know how that goes. That company also did classic monsters like Dracula and the Werewolf. Well, okay. Thomas says, FYI, I won't be around Thursday and Sunday. I have a mission in a certain primitive country. Yes, I know your mission, Operation Two-Eyed, One-Eyed, I believe is the name of it. Yes. Something like that. So, may your mission go well. And let's see. Now the thing got messed up, so give me just a minute. And meanwhile, Charles puts $4.99 into the chat. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I'm just trying to find where I was in the chat before it went nuts. Don't know what it is, but you look fetching. Perfect for lore. House Master Galactica. Is this your stream? Wow, this got really messed up. There's Disney, upcoming Star Wars movie, Threshold is a good episode. Vivian said no. There it is. Yes. So yes, Thomas, your mission. Let me know how Operation Extract the Two-Eyed, One-Eyed. We gotta come up with a good name for it. Anyway, good luck with your mission, my friend, and Godspeed. Charles puts $4.99 in, says, wondering if I missed any crossover appearances by Star Trek characters on Voyager. I've seen the Sulu, LaForge, Reg, and Deanna episodes. Are there any others I missed? Trying to think. There wasn't a lot of crossover on Voyager, but that's mainly because of the premise of the show wouldn't really allow for it. So I don't think so. I don't think you're missing out on anything there. Carlos says, is the phaser a mistake in the package, or all the packaging have the phaser too? It could be a rear. No. It looks like that is the original Romulan had the phaser. I didn't know that. Wesley says, greetings, turds, birds, and crazy friends. Hey, Wesley. Greetings, Lord Trekker, purveyor of jerky. What did you think of the Picard uniform I sent you? I actually, I don't remember who it was. A couple of people sent me that on Twitter. And I actually like it. I gotta say, I think it's a better, snappier looking uniform than pretty much anything we've seen from Next Gen. It looks like a uniform to me. And that's actually been one of my big gripes about the uniforms in Next Gen. I know a lot of people like them. I like the general color scheme, but they don't feel like uniforms to me. They just look like leisure suits. Then they happen to put on badges. So this looked more like a uniform to me. And I actually did let me see if I can bring it up real quick so you guys can see what we're talking about. And there it is. So here is the picture of the uniforms. Now, a couple of things about it that I like. So, for example, notice Picard's has the red piping going down the side, while hers, where she is clearly not a flag officer, does not. I generally like it. The uniform should be a little more form-fitting. It's a little too loose. But overall, I think that this looks more like a uniform than what we've seen in the past. So I kind of like it. Now, this is obviously some kind of flashback to it before Picard quit the Admiralty. And I think it'll be interesting to see if they indeed explain the details of his quitting.
Death to Caroga!
Roxanne says, today's the Mondiest of Tuesdays of all time. I understand. May they did more than one version of the Romulan. This is the commander. Yeah, well, it says Romulan commander on it, which is kind of funny because the Romulan commander did not wear a helmet. The helmet was worn by a Centurion, which is a lower officer, which is kind of weird. Are you sure it's Tuesday? I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. And there's Charles' $4.99. Thank you again. Cigar says, I like Threshold the series. Yeah, we're talking about Threshold the episode. Are you playing ambient ship sound during the stream? I hear the Enterprise. Nope. Threshold the series I trade Brent Spiner and Thor's friend, what's his face, small guy. Thor's friend, what's his face, small guy. Not sure what you're talking about there. I don't mind Alexander. He's a product of Turkestan education system. That's true. A lot of people don't realize that Alexander is, in fact, liberated Carogan, and yes, he has a college degree from the Carogan University of Studies, and that's actually what they call it. I know that sounds stupid, but that's actually what they call it, the Carogan University of Studies. And yeah, poor guy. Migo also did action figures for Star Trek The Motion Picture. Yeah, I think he showed off one of those. I believe they all want to make a Ahsoka TV show where she goes into the unknown regions and sees sorts of ruins that may be Jedi and Highland Republic era that shows origins of that stuff. If they want to do something like that, fine, but I still think the way to go is to move forward. I think that The Mandalorian, the Mandalorian could just as easily take place after the sequels trilogy. There's no reason it has to be in between the trilogies, to be honest with you, except that there's remnants of the Empire around. So yeah. The Ahsoka show will be animated. That's too bad. William Riker was also on Deep Space Nine as Thomas Riker, and himself on Voyager and Enterprise. I don't remember what Riker was on Voyager? When was that? I think you're right. Looks like Command is back yellow and Picard is purple. I think that's more of a wine red, honestly. But I like the uniforms. I think they look good. Data has a max memory of 800 quadrillion bits across all neurons evenly, and if he had the same number of neurons as a human, that comes to a max capacity of about 1.1 megabyte per neuron. Yeah, I really doubt that that's accurate. Just saying. I mean, however they copy data, It's just, yeah, it's space magic, because that's the problem. Honestly, that's the biggest problem with second generation Trek. Is second generation Trek, meaning TNG through Enterprise, science becomes magic. I saw that yesterday on Twitter, the new Picard picture. Yeah, I like it. I like the Cage uniform, but the best has to be the woke. I assume that's Wrath of Khan one. Yes. Wrath of Khan is the best uniforms in all of Trek. This one ain't bad, though. If it was a double-breasted coat or something, I'd probably put this one up there, though. Look up Mago Gorn. It's hilarious. Fine. Or Migo. Oops. Well, there's one that actually looks correct. Let me see. Waiting for it to load. That's interesting. So there's a couple of different Gorns, but yeah, there's obviously, let me bring the picture up. This is the version you guys are talking about. So notice he is in a Star Trek the Animated Series Klingon uniform, and he is brown. And he's wearing a phaser and communicator, because apparently everybody had a phaser and communicator.
Death to Caroga!
All right. So what's going on today? Well,
Death to Caroga!
Caroga tried to do some propaganda and failed miserably. They tried to show that Martok is on their side, but they actually accidentally backfired and proved that they have taken him hostage. I speak 3 languages and have 3 diplomas. Well, here's the problem. I understand you think that, Alexander. I understand you think that, but, the Carogan University of Studies, it's not real, man. I'm just messing with you, right, Alexander? Carl says, hey, the Carogan University of Studies is a fantastic place. I dropped out twice. Hail Caroga. I think Threshold is the episode where Tom's dream was Tom's dream. It explains bad science, Neelix's behavior, how it catered to him personally. No, I think it was just really bad writing. Riker was on Voyager in the episode Death Wish with Q. Okay. Q episode he gets summoned for court. Man, I don't know why I don't remember it. The Quinn Q summoned Riker. Okay. Riker was in the Voyager. Yeah, okay, got it. You know, it's so funny. Guys, read the chat. When somebody else answers it, you don't have to answer it. The news of Section 31 and the rest sure makes those rumors of Kurtzman and secret hideout leaving as nonsense. Here's the thing, Darth Maul. It's not news. It's rumor. It's speculation. All right. Do not confuse the two. That's what they want. They want you to think that all this is confirmed information. None of this is coming from any kind of credible news agency. This is all coming from bloggers and websites that heard a rumor here or there and say they have some inside source that told them some dirty little secret. Unless it comes straight from CBS, don't believe it. All right. And that's why and I understand you guys throw this stuff at me all the time, but honestly, unless it's coming from a CBS source, if it has to do with Trek, it's grain of salt time, man. Honestly, you can't take it seriously. If they wanted, they could have a TV series set 50 years after Rey's death called Rise of the Jedi, about the return of a new Jedi Order. They retake the Jedi Temple, but they're different. I'd be all for that. And then once again, Riker was on Voyager when Q brought him to Janeway. I got it. The Old Order. I got you. William Riker was a Voyager, Season 2 Death Wish. Yes, I get it. Is Lore Reloaded still enslaving those Ewoks and working for Jabba? Well, he does still work for Jabba, but he's slowly transforming into an Ewok. The she-males are on the side of Caroga. That's true. The Carogans do have the she-males on their side, but I think that the combined forces of the Turtistani military might, the Klingon Defense Force, and the Emus are enough. Who is that Klingon and what is he saying?
Death to Caroga!
That would be Chancellor Martok, and he's saying death to Caroga. And in case you had any doubts about that, when Bird of Prey tried to manipulate him... Oh, it's not. Let me reset the video.
Bird of Prey 5 says, Kapla, JG. Caroga still believes in you, even if you don't believe in us. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hell, Caroga.
Death to Caroga.
So you can see, yes, Martok hates Caroga. Did you know Riker was in a Voyager episode? Yeah. 7 of 9 was also on Voyager. Really, Alexander? I didn't know that. 7 of 9 was on Voyager? Wow. I heard then 7 of 9 is on Picard. Well, yeah, they showed that in the trailer. How long more do we have to suffer ruin of Kennedy so the Dark Ages can just end? And I think there's a huge backlash against the woke of late. Also, Riker was on Voyager. As far as the Kathleen Kennedy thing, I don't know how long her contract is because it's not like they reveal those contracts publicly, but I think when her contract is over, they are not going to renew. That's my honest opinion. I'm not sure if you heard the other dozen people, but Riker was on Voyager's episode with Death Watch with Q. Thank you, Mr. Miles. Sometimes in Star Wars, they give you more than one reason for something, like why General Grievous coughs. Mace Windu damaged him in the 2D show in the Clone Wars, and he always had it. Yes, I remember when Mace Windu damaged him in the 2D show, but also, of course, in the 3D show, apparently he was always asthmatic or whatever. Darren says the Steam Runner was an Enterprise too. Yeah, but that was not it. That wasn't like the Steam Runner was in the timeline of Enterprise. We talked about that. Did you know that Kirk was in Balance of Terror? Yes. Hey, and Trigger, do Klingons have a long lifespan like the Vulcans? Yes, they do, apparently. From what we could see, because there was nothing out of the ordinary about Kang, Koloth, and Kor all being alive in the Deep Space Nine era. And so even though they were all obviously adults in the Kirk era. So assuming that they're about Kirk's age, then that would mean that they were on the order of about 150, 160 years old at the time of Deep Space Nine. So, and they were old. So I would say Klingons probably have a shorter lifespan than Vulcans, probably, because an old Klingon looks like to be about 150, where an old Vulcan is about 200. Wesley says, how sad you turned even the Klingons against Caroga. Well, that wasn't hard. The Klingons believe in honor, and Caroga doesn't. I had a feeling Kathleen Kennedy is going to get a 30-year extension because she won an award. I don't think so. This is CBS official. Then 7 and 9 is on Voyager. That's why I wrote that to you. I know that one. Yes, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Section 31 show. There's nothing official on that yet. Would have Disney renewed Kathleen Kennedy's had the new trilogy gone differently? Oh, absolutely. If the new trilogy was because if episode 8 and 9 performed like episode 7 did, heck yeah, they would have, because she'd be making them money hand over fist. But as it is, they're losing money on the deal. Do you like in Star Wars that Shock Tai dies in different ways? I no idea what you're talking about. No freaking idea. And by the way, before anybody says, wait a minute, Star Wars didn't lose money because, episode 7 had like a $500 million budget and it made $2.7 billion. You had episode 8 had like a $500 million budget and made like $1.7 billion. And episode 9 had like a $500 million budget and made just over $1 billion. So it's like, oh, they made money. Wrong answer, because remember, they paid $4.8 billion for the franchise in the first place. They are behind the freaking 8 ball with this. Hand shot first, right? Absolutely. I thought Klingons and Vulcans lived 200 years. Well, Vulcans apparently do live about 200 years. Klingons, based on what we see on screen, about 150. Are you a TOS Klingon? If so, we know they live extremely long. In fact, yes, I am a TOS Klingon. And, unlike my brothers in arms, and thank you, Joseph, for the €2 super chat. Did you know that Riker was on Voyager's Death Wish? No, I didn't know that. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, I am a TOS Klingon, and unlike my brethren, Kang, Koloth, and Kor, I did not have reconstructive surgery because I am perfectly content to be who I am. Hey, Andringer, how's the old 3D printing going? I'm still working on getting the room set up so that I can start it up again. The Baku are in insurrection. Yes, they are. Captain Sinclair said, groan, what happened this time? Not sure what you mean. In the TNG episode, The Defector, the Romulan Satal states that he knows a host of Romulan cyberneticists who would love to be as close as they were to Data. Is this a contradiction to Picard? No, it is not. And I know, and by the way, Mage, that's a good question, but a lot of people confuse something. They think that the Romulans are afraid of synthetic life. No, the subgroup of the Tal Shiar is afraid of cybernetic life, not necessarily the Romulans as a whole. And so the fact that there are Romulan cyberneticists that would love to get their hands on Data is not a contradiction at all, assuming that they want to learn about Data's technology. But there's a flip side to that as well, which means that if the Romulans are in fact paranoid about synthetic life as a whole, not just the subgroup of the Tal Shiar, guess what? Maybe those cyberneticists want to get close to Data so they can figure out how to make sure that they destroy him once and for all. The Katinga made it into Star Trek Enterprise 2, the everlasting Katinga. Yes, the Katinga is everywhere. Asian Muslim wife born in the USSR is the best choice for Alexander, indeed. What did Byrd do? He apparently has kidnapped the great Chancellor Martok. We are, the Turkestani military is in fact working right now on battle plans to free him. Because we absolutely, Martok is a great ally to Turkestan, as we've seen.
Death to Caroga!
And so we absolutely need to liberate him from the hands of the dirty Turkestan, the dirty Carogans. Now, for those of you that may doubt it, now I know I played this already, but We'll play it again for those of you that have joined the stream late. If I can find it. Why isn't it being... Oh, it helps if I spell it right. All right. We're going to go to... All right. So, what happened was... J.G. Hertzler was actually on a couple of live streams recently. And one of them, he says something that appears to contradict his allegiance with Turkestan.
this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail Caroga.
Now, there's a couple of things you need to look at. Notice, first of all, look, the first thing he does after he says that is puts up his hands in a defensive posture, because what's going on, what you can't see is behind the camera are a host of Carogan Death Squad, and he basically is holding up his hands showing, yes, I said what you wanted me to say, please don't kill my family, right? That's what that's all about. And so the Carogan Death Squad then whisked him away to Caroga. We have to liberate him. However, I would also point out that in this same live stream, something else happened that, of course, demonstrates why he is still an ally. So let me go back to the main screen.
Death to Caroga!
Now that was, of course, that passionate plea was from a different live stream. But check this out. So this is from the same live stream earlier in the live stream when Berto Prey himself tried to reach out to Chancellor Martok. And of course, I got to rewind it because there. I keep forgetting to.
Bird of Prey 5 says, "Kapla, JG. Caroga still believes in you, even if you don't believe in us. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hell, Caroga."
Death to Caroga.
Now you see, notice there, that's before the Death Squad showed up. And so there, when he felt he was free to say what he wanted, he very emphatically said death to Caroga, as opposed to the kind of subdued, we all must hail Caroga. I mean, listen to the tone in his voice.
To suggest that we all hail Caroga.
And also, he intentionally mispronounces, listen carefully to the way he says Caroga.
However, to suggest that we all hail Caroga.
Caroga. So it's all, it's very subtle, but he's trying to get the message out that he's saying this against his will. And so don't worry, JG. Chancellor Martok will, in fact, be liberated. So,
Death to Caroga!
Absolutely. Darren says, Hand did not shoot first. Originally, Hand shot, period. Greedo never got a shot off. That's true. Wesley says, I don't know why anyone asks you anything deeper in the Star Wars lore. You only know the basics. Okay. Well, if you want my opinion, I'll give my opinion. I never claimed to be an expert on EU stuff, but we'll talk about Prime canon, namely the movies, all day long. TNG had natural selection. The Enterprise is bound for Star Station India to rendezvous with a Starfleet medical courier. What do you think those two things are? Well, Star Station would indicate that it's a space station that is not a part of Starfleet. It's not a starbase, so it's not a part of Starfleet. It's a star station. As far as a Starfleet medical courier, that could be anybody. It could just be a doctor on a ship. It's obviously a Starfleet person. Just realized I said Death Watch. That's all right, my friend. I knew what you meant. What took Han so long to even consider paying Jabba back? He's a scoundrel. He didn't want to pay Jabba back, but he just realized that he was going to have to sooner or later. Did you know that Tasha Yar is dead? Yes, in fact, I did. Instead of building synths, what does Starfleet build a positronic processor into a ship's computer? That would be the next logical step, honestly. But they couldn't they couldn't basically mass produce positronic brains. They failed at that. Andreas, keep a message. This version of YouTube is going away soon. Switch to the new YouTube. No, I didn't. I'm not getting that message. But it could be another big update coming. It will be hard for you to beat the powerful army of she-males of Caroga. Alexander, you might think that, but here's the problem. We have the Klingons. And even if we didn't just have the Klingons, we had the Emus. The Emus are more than enough. But the Klingons, the Emus, and the Turkestani military, Caroga has no chance, even with the she-males. Damn people coming to my office during an anti-trigger stream. Yeah, just slap them. It didn't seem they were talking about just a subgroup, since Picard's maid was listening off what Romulans don't have, not just a subgroup. I'd have to rewatch the episode, but I'm trying to think that, didn't she say that the subgroup had a problem with synthetic life? But even so, like I said, if you want to argue that the retcon here is that all Romulans hate, or at least all the Tal Shiar hate the synthetics, that doesn't change the fact that when the Admiral told that to Data, their cybernetic experts would want to get their hands on him. The USS Lantry, a Federation supply ship. The Lantry is a Class 6 Federation supply ship. Do you wish we actually saw cargo pods and cargo cylinders on the actual ship? Do I wish it? Not particularly. Yeah. I've been watching Super Bowl ads. Don't judge. It's interesting and predictable which one's disabled comments on YouTube. Yeah. That's funny. I haven't watched them on YouTube, although I still think the best one is the Jason Momoa ad. That was freaking hilarious. If you have not seen the Jason Momoa ad, I'm not going to spoil it, but look up the Jason Momoa Super Bowl ad. Holy crap, was it funny. Jason Momoa, man, my hat's off to you for having a great sense of humor. Martok could appear in Picard. Also, Emperor Kahless, who everyone seems to have forgotten about. That's true. Both Martok and Emperor Kahless could appear. Yep, Caroga has JG at gunpoint with their propaganda. Dirty bat turds. Yeah, Caroga, we're going to take them down. You will never get over JG saying death to Caroga. Of course not. That's like that's a crowning achievement here. Stromer trying to say Martok was a changeling. Yeah, Martok is clearly in a different room than on Orville Nation stream. Yes, that was not... Well, no, actually, I think that's the same room he's in. It's just the camera angle's a little different. But maybe you're right. That could be a different... Yeah, that's probably in Caroga. Now the actors of Star Trek are mixed to that BS war? Not sure what you mean. One of these days, someone that lives in Caroga, New York will hear this stuff and think, wow, why does Martok hate my town so much? Yeah, true. In the rolling text behind you, you should add Martok says death to Caroga. I should. Remember, people, smash the like button, set chat to live, donate, or join the Patreon if you can. Make sure you're still subscribed, and subscribe to me. Alexander says, I'll go search his support of the Ahmed Best of the Gungan Soviet Socialist Republic. Okay. Data's day at the end when they reveal the Romulan spy. She still doesn't have forehead ridges. Do you think wasn't a time to surgically alter her back, or she just didn't have them? Well, honestly, they probably just in the story at the time they probably just didn't bother to surgically alter her back. Now you could retcon and suggest that, well, she never had them, because in TNG we now established that Romulans have some do, some don't. Which I'm glad that they did that, because I didn't like the fact that they changed the Romulans from the way they looked in TOS. There was no need. The Klingon appearance change, honestly, the funny thing about the appearance change is that, and why people get upset about the Klingorks but not the Klingons. The Klingon appearance change that happened in Star Trek The Motion Picture, people just accepted that this is what they wanted Klingons to look like, but didn't have makeup like that in the 60s. That's it. Right? We didn't care about the fact that they looked different because they looked better. Problem is, Klingorks look like crap. And I'm sorry to all of you guys that love, and thank you, by the way, Death by Rabies throws $3 in and a fist bump. Thank you, my friend. The Romulan change was stupid. And I'm sorry to all of you guys that like the Romulan head ridges from TNG. It's stupid. How could a Vulcan pass as a Romulan if Romulans have forehead ridges? Why is it that Chekhov had to sit there and meticulously scan the Romulan ship to try and find Spock if there's such a radical difference between them? It doesn't make sense. Let's see. If memory serves, Picard's housekeeper asked... whoa, and there goes the chat jumping on me. Hold on, let me get back. Asked rhetorically if he ever noticed how Romulans never used AI. I got the impression all Romulans distrusted AI. It could be a cultural thing as far as distrust, but I think maybe it's just this subgroup of the Tal Shiar that would want to actively destroy them. The best character after 7 of 9 on Picard is Soji. I don't know who Soji is. Gauld is a trill, just saying. Yeah, kind of, yeah. The entire universe still wants MCU Aunt May naked right now. I think you're wrong about that, my friend. Talking of ads dropping entry, Loki is wearing a time variant jumpsuit. Yes, I did notice that. May I tweet you a fact? I believe the Free State is in reference to IRL, in reference to in real life. May I tweet you a fact? I believe the Free State is a reference to in real life and has an implication for Trek Roar if I'm correct. Yeah, you can tweet me anything you want, but doesn't mean you're right or wrong. I'd have to look at it. He'll always be Ronan Dex to me. Easy there, Chewie. Those buttons are your friends. The next super chat should be the reverse Momoa commercial starting Bird. I actually, the funny thing is, I considered doing this. It would take a lot of work, but I was thinking about trying to get a good shot of Bird of Prey 5's head and putting that on in the Jason Momoa commercial. When he does the move with the hair, that it would reveal Bird of Prey. Just woke up, can't rewind. Sorry, Bird, you didn't miss much except for us once again proving what evil dictator you are. If you ever get watching Stargate Atlantis, you will like Jason Momoa as Ronan. I've heard that he's really good in it. I'm looking forward to it. That was freaking great. Yes, it was. Breaking news, the Iowa caucus errors were traced back to an AOL.com email address located in some place called Caroga. Investigators also suspect interference from hobbits. Well, I can tell you that the hobbits had nothing to do with it because I don't care about the Iowa caucus, not one bit. Momoa got a start on Stargate Atlantis. Still my favorite role of his. He did a great job with it. I know you like it. Bird of Prey, enter your bird. You haven't missed much. Just Caroga getting his butt handed to them by Martok. That's true. But, we don't want to be too mean.
Death to Caroga!
I wish we had seen the transporter tug class ships as seen in Star Trek Starfleet Technical Manual. Yeah, I understand that, but we kind of got something similar to that with those tugs in Picard. But, yeah, never saw the original. I agree that the Romulan makeup redesign for TNG was unnecessary. I do like that Picard submits the idea some Romulans have them while others do not. Yeah, I think that's a fine way to do it. It just so happens that the Romulans we saw in TNG had the bumps. The Kling orcs are just Carogan she-males trying to be Klingons. Well, we know that, but, we don't have to rub it in. Feel the Burn 2020. Oh, wait. If there was a Caroga in the next generation, does Bird get head... If there was a Caroga... the next generation, does Bird get head ridges? Yes, Bird in next generation would indeed have head ridges. Didn't they change the Klingon forehead ridges a bit in Star Trek V? Well, the Klingon forehead ridges, the interesting thing about them is that they were constantly... the original concept was that the kind of... If somebody is really thin, you can see bumps going up their back and on their neck from their spine, right? And the idea was that spine for Klingons originally went all the way up to the ridge of their nose. If you look at the makeup from Star Trek The Motion Picture, it's just their spine goes all the way up over their head, which actually makes the most sense as far as it having some kind of biological origin to these bumps, as opposed to just random bumps on the forehead. Now, in Star Trek 3, they changed it up a bit to make, and that's where we got, basically the modern Klingon look came from Commander Krug and his crew. And then, of course, by Next Generation era, there have been a couple of changes along the way with the Klingons that we saw in Star Trek 4, the Klingon Ambassador, Star Trek 5, and so then by the time we get to TNG, they just kind of established that the ridges are like moles or spots or hair color. It's just a genetic trait of Klingons, and you can usually spot what house they're from based on the shape of their ridges. Now that we know that why Sela targeted data ships specifically from the entire blockade fleet is because there's an android and they hate sentient AI. That actually is kind of interesting, yes. Captain Cat says you only missed Anti-Tricker playing Death to Caroga clip. That's not true. I did more than just that.
Death To Caroga!
Maybe not a lot more than that. Well, we did look at this.
Bird of Prey 5 says, Kapla, JG. Caroga still believes in you, even if you don't believe in us. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hail Caroga.
Death to Caroga.
So, yes, look at that face.
Death to Caroga!
Love it. Could TOS-style transport tugs still work in TNG with the proper update? Why not? And in fact, that's why I say in the rescue fleet that we saw basically took the TOS-style transport tugs and adapted them to the TNG era. Although it looked more like the Star Trek Discovery design. Are the two worst movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Hulk and Captain Marvel? I'd have to give it some thought. Because Iron Man 2 was not the greatest. The Thor: The Dark World was not the greatest. I'd have to really give it some thought to kind of rank the MCU movies. But obviously, I think that Hulk and Captain Marvel are definitely not in the top half of the list, that's for sure. You can tweet me anything you want. A few minutes later, why are you people sending me things while I'm streaming? Well, that's why I changed. Notice that it didn't make that obnoxious, loud Bionic Man noise, because I changed the tweet noise so that it's not as annoying. Yes, rewind is off. Oh, okay. Well, I apologize for that, but that's probably because I was adjusting the settings to prevent the spammer. General Martok versus General Chang from Star Trek VI. Who wins? Martok. In a heartbeat. Yeah. How long did Bill Murray get stuck for anti-checker Groundhog Day? How long did Bill Murray get stuck? Well, apparently, if you look at that commercial, a pretty long time. I always took the forehead Romulan thing to be like eye-shaped, skin color, stuff like that. The Romulans just had some small physical changes over time. I understand that, Miles, but it's still... Here's the thing. Massive bumps on your forehead is not a small change over time. Because, I mean... here's the thing. The Romulans were separated from the Vulcans for a total of like 1,800 years, from what we understand. So, now, given the fact, before you freak out, that, well, that's a long time. Remember, Romulans live, Vulcans and Romulans live about 4 times the length of a human lifespan. And so, 1,800 years in Romulan Vulcan time is really only like about 500 years human time. Now, if you take a group of people and separate them for 500 years, are you going to have that kind of a physical change? If that were the case, then people living in the United States of America should be starting to develop forehead ridges or something. Because, we've been separated from Europe for longer than a couple hundred years. So why aren't we starting to see that? Right? It's ridiculously over hyper accelerated evolution that also makes no sense. What would the point in how is the forehead ridges some kind of adaptation? Now, I think the more logical explanation for the Romulan forehead ridges is the idea that Romulans were crossbreeding with Klingons. And so there are some Romulan-Klingon hybrids out there, and that's where the forehead ridge kind of got into the Romulan gene pool. I think that's the more logical explanation. And I think that the Romulan Klingon babies were rejected by the Klingons, and so they stayed in the Romulan Empire. Atlantis, Jason Momoa's Ronan from season 2 on. Looking forward to it. You should care about Iowa. It affects us all. Yeah, here's the problem, Bird. I find it extremely doubtful that the Democrats are going to come up with a candidate that I'm going to give a crap about. I also find it extremely doubtful that the Republicans are going to have a candidate that I give a crap about, and I'm probably going to end up voting for the Libertarian. And no, I am not a hobbit. What happens when you rely on electronics and apps? I'm not sure why you said that. Oh, as far as the problems in Iowa, yeah. We all know the system is rigged, so whatever. Here's the thing. The system is completely and utterly rigged to support only 2 groups, The Democrats and the Republicans. They are purposely keeping everybody else out so they can maintain their power structure. Because here's think about it. If real interesting ideas could actually get into the forefront of the argument, do you really think the Democrats and Republicans could survive a debate if on that same stage you had a green and a libertarian? Because I'll tell you what, the conservatives out there, the people that actually care about reducing government, the people that actually care about balancing the budget, the people that actually care about fiscal responsibility and government minimalism would definitely gravitate towards the libertarian, as would those people that want things like legalized marijuana and stuff like that. The libertarian would get those people. The people that really care about social agenda stuff, as far as like if you're the SJW type, you want to push the liberal agenda kind of thing as far as the social side of things, they would gravitate towards the Green Party. They're also the environmentalists would gravitate towards the Green Party. The Democrats and Republicans would instantly be out if they actually had a free market of ideas. But we don't. We have a market of ideas that's limited to two political parties, and those two political parties are both equally morally bankrupt. Chang would just quote Shakespeare while Martok would kick his butt while doing so, and she indeed. Is it true that Carogans go to the beach and swim in raw sewage? No, that is not true. They bathe in raw sewage, but they don't go to the beach because there are no beaches in Caroga. It's a completely landlocked country. The Romulans and Voyager ship in a bottle didn't like the EMH either. Well, maybe there's a pattern there. Soji is the sister of Daj. Gotcha. I wasn't sure. The names I don't have down yet. Why can't they just call her like Mary and Becky? Why do we have to have Soji and Daj? Come on, people. Seriously. Riker's Will. Why do we have to go Soji and Daj? Why can't they... I have a question. Why is the Enterprise A decommissioned so soon? Wasn't it a fairly new ship? Well, we don't know exactly what the fate of the Enterprise... the Enterprise A was decommissioned because it was probably, I don't know, broken? That's a good question, actually. I didn't think about that. Because the Enterprise A was commissioned, of course, at the end of Star Trek 4 and decommissioned at the end of Star Trek 6. Now, granted, we don't know exactly how much time in-universe took place there. I think we could safely argue probably 10 years or so, because Star Trek 4, it seemed like, yes, we're going out into space on grand adventures. And Star Trek 6, okay, time for retirement. So I would say at least 10 years, maybe 20 even, but you're right. It does seem like it was decommissioned too soon. And why is it that they frickin' refuse to use Constitution-class ships in other Star Trek shows? That's why I'm going to, petition for a Star Trek show called Star Trek Phoenix that takes place after Star Trek 6 aboard a Constitution-class starship. Alexander says Hulk 2008 is an amazing movie, which of course you're saying that because most people don't like it. I've come to the conclusion, Alexander, you are simply a contrarian, my friend. I love you, but you're just a contrarian. Whatever people say they don't like, you're going to say is amazing. You probably think that pizza with pineapple and anchovies is amazing. This is one of my favorite movies in the MCU. I'm sure it is. Let's not rank the MCU movies. 2 died and 1 retired due to Thanos. Well, that's had nothing to do with the quality of the movies. As a Hulk fan, I think the 2008 Hulk film was at least as good as Wonder Woman. In the MCU, I'd say is better than Dark World, Iron Man 2, or Ant-Man films. I disagree with you on the Ant-Man films for sure. Dark World and Iron Man 2 I could probably give you, but not Ant-Man. Zachary, home today because I'm sick. Glad you're here there. Oh, man, I'm sorry, man. I hate being sick. Wesley says, it'd be interesting if Vulcans used to have the forehead ridges but lost them over time. Yeah, but they didn't. At least not from anything that we've ever seen. Some would say Americans have evolved to be fatter than the Brits. That's not evolution. That's overeating. That's the thing. People confuse evolutionary traits with the effect of overeating, right? Obesity is not genetically, like some people are, they'll say, more likely to get obese if they overeat. But overeating is still the key factor, not your genetics. if you eat more calories than you burn, you will gain weight, and eventually you will look like me. The Romulan ridges could be from interbreeding with the Remans. I think more likely the Klingons. I think the Remans are like the Romulan. Either they're an indigenous species to Remus, or they. But honestly, why would you crossbreed with a Reman? I mean, look at them; they freaking look like Nosferatu. And I think the Klingons make a little more sense because at least a Klingon woman is capable of being attractive, or a Klingon man, depending on which you are. Maybe the Romulans were part of Vulcans where the inhabitants had some different appearance. Well, but here's the thing. And this is why I don't like those types of explanations, because you're talking about a physical trait that is beyond something like superficial skin color or eye color or hair type or something. You're talking about a group of people that literally have a physical trait that is different than everybody else. Like, it would be like if there was a group of people in outer Mongolia and every single one of them, had horns. And it's like, wow, didn't know there were people with horns. Because you know what? There aren't. Mr. Captain says, will you ever get to New York to visit Bird and do a live stream with him in person? That'd be classic. I actually want to. I truly do. And regardless of, if the channel just grows enough, then yes, absolutely. That's one of the first places I want to go because, yeah, Bird's a great guy and it would be a lot of fun. One interesting theory I've read is that the older Romulans get, the more pronounced their foreheads become. The problem with that is that Romulan boy we saw in Unification. It's an interesting idea, but yeah, I think that the Romulan-Klingon interbreeding makes more sense. Darth says, Romulan-Klingon hybrid equals Ring On. Well, there you go. We got a name for it. Thanos affected all of us. Well, yeah. Do you think Picard's Romulan help at the Vineyard could actually be his enemy and the setup as a plot to get him into space? I doubt it. Because here's the thing. That could be an interesting twist. However, I also and I hate to be cynical here, but I'm going to put on my cynic hat for a moment. The simple fact is that the way that the attitude of the writers and the producers and stuff is they want them to be happy slaves. That's what they want. And I know people get offended when I use the term slave, but that's what, it's just like the Mexican population in California. They want to show how grateful they are to have been saved by the great liberal white savior Picard. And so they're willing to work Picard's fields for free because they just love Picard so much because he's oodles and oodles of good. And they would never write them to betray Picard because they're just so good. And that's just because they have this warped idea of immigration to where they think that enabling Mexicans to work for substandard wages, backbreaking work in the heat of the California sun is somehow doing them a favor. Feel the burn, says Alexander. Thanos was secretary of the military for Caroga. Caroga wishes they had Thanos, actually. We actually see half Klingon, half Romulan girl in TNG Birthright Part 1 and 2. She had ridges and a forehead bone. Well, maybe she was from a Romulan family that had the forehead bone already. Cutting in line, Romulans are alien and went to a whole new planet, not just another part of the same planet. You may have much of a physical change with an alien species. Well, I understand Romulans are aliens, and you could say that about any species in Trek. Oh, they're aliens, so it evolved differently. It's still just, the problem is that, like I said, in the original series, Romulans were just Vulcans. Martok versus a Lore Reloaded singing and no shirt, or Captain Foley without a shirt versus Martok. Well, that's an interesting one. Now, Lore Reloaded versus anybody, Lore wins if he's singing. Because the sound of his singing literally, it's like Thanos' snap. It just turns you into dust. If you guys hear it filtered through the internet when you watch it here. If you actually experienced it live firsthand, you would disintegrate like someone snapped out of the existence by the Infinity Gauntlet. So, unfortunately, as great as Martok is, he would not be able to bear up under that kind of pressure. However, Captain Foley, I think Martok would have a little bit of trouble getting his hands on him because he's so slick. He would just kind of slip around and slide around and stuff. But eventually Martok's bat'leth would connect and Foley would be done. Except I wasn't cutting in line. I sent it on Skype originally, but you made me wait in line anyways. Just copy and paste it. Ha! See, you got me there. There's a theory that the Romulans interbred with another species with ridges after leaving Vulcan. Could also explain why they don't seem to have Vulcan telepathic abilities. Or, well, we don't know if they have the telepathic abilities much. I mean, do they really even address it directly? I think they just lack Vulcan discipline. It's one of those things like you could say that, well, white people don't have mad basketball skills, right? Well, no, it's not that they're not physically capable of doing it, but you have to train and train and train and train and train. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to have those mad skills, right? The reason that Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant were so great on the court had nothing to do with their skin color. It had to do with the fact that they practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced since childhood. SC says, I don't often agree with you, man, but yes, we need a quality third-party candidates and integration. Indeed. 7 of 9 is stronger than Klingons. Okay. Not sure why you said that, but okay. Mr. Ross says, try to be fair. People who do immigrate often do have better lives working fields here. Doesn't make it right to cheat them, but it's sort of like the Walmart Chinese sweatshots. Well, here's the thing. I understand, like, I'm all for legal immigration. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, like, anti-Mexico or something. I think that we need to completely revamp the immigration process and make it much easier, particularly for Mexicans, to be able to immigrate. I don't have a problem with Mexicans immigrating. But I do have a problem with the way that people abuse illegal immigrants because what happens is they sneak across the border. They know they're here illegally, and so people will take advantage of that and work them at substandard wages. I knew a guy that did it, right? A guy that was, for example, he was a general contractor, and, you know, he did the whole thing where, well, needs some day labor, so he goes to Home Depot and picks up a truckload of illegal immigrants to do his work for him, right? And here's what would happen. And he told me this straight up. If he hired, and this at the time, this was a little while ago, but at the time, if he was going to hire actual proper day labor legitimately, he would have to pay them somewhere in the order of $15 to $20 an hour. However, he would pay the illegals about, $8 to $10 an hour, right? Which to them was a ton of money. And he was paying them under the table, so there were no taxes involved and stuff. So he's cheating the government as well. And so these people would do his work for substandard wages, and he felt good about himself because he's doing them a favor. No, you're not. You're cheating. It should serve as a reminder just how good we have it in the U.S. Indeed. And in fact, I like something that Mike Huckabee said the first time he ran for president. When he was asked about immigration, he said, you know what? We should all be thanking God that we live in the country that people are trying to break into. So lore singing is like Bogon poetry. Indeed, yes. In fact, the only stalemate in history with lore is lore versus a Bogon reading poetry. There are theories Romulan eating Baku bread and changing their head by the same way. Alexander? No, there aren't. That I'm going to call BS on. There's no theory about that except for maybe in your head. Tommel Finger says, enter, they, Romulans, needed telepathic Andorians in the Enterprise series. That's true. But that doesn't mean that they needed specifically those Andorians that have this incredibly high telepathic ability. Even a Vulcan couldn't do for them, right? So they needed, it wasn't that they can't do it, it wasn't that they lacked telepathic ability. They needed something beyond what they were capable of doing. So I don't think that the Andorian thing was necessarily evidence that they don't have any kind of telepathic ability. Some offshoots of Vulcans had the forehead ridges as well, like the Duck Blind episode of TNG. Well, they weren't Vulcans. And they got to be careful with that, because if you look at that, Who Watches the Watchers, which I hate that episode with a passion, but they were very clearly saying that their evolution paralleled Vulcan. They were not Vulcans. There was no direct relationship with them and Vulcans. They just happened to look a lot like Vulcans, although actually they looked like Romulans. But yeah, they were not genetically related. My own personal idea behind the Romulan brow is that some were mutated by something in the Romulan-Reman atmosphere like the Remans, but to a far less degree. I could see that. Do you like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Don't panic, I do. Hitchhiker's Guide, classic. D Space Nine, Quark mentioned that Chief O'Brien and Bashir always paid their bar tab on time. With what? I don't know. Also, Jake Sisko didn't have any latinum. Yeah, I don't know how O'Brien and Bashir paid their bar tab. Romulans with ridges tend to have pale skin, which also be more consistent with their interbreeding with Remans. Also, the shape of their ridges are closer to than Remans. Well, their ridges are just they're very subdued compared to either Remans or Klingons. So I don't know. It would be interesting. They need to explore it, but they never will. Baku bread has different effect from a species. Yeah, you're going nuts, man. Well, the original point of the Romulans was that if they were a species that looked like Vulcans but didn't act logically, even related to Vulcans. So instead of following logic, it's pride. Actually, it's the main motivator behind Romulans was duty. They were a militaristic society, and they believed in doing their duty above all else. But no, it was not about logic. It was not about lack of emotion that the Vulcans... And keep in mind, that's not like a genetic trait of the Vulcans. That was simply their philosophy. And, of course, later in Enterprise, we find out that the reason that the Romulans split off from Vulcans is because they rejected the teachings of Surak. They didn't believe in casting their emotions aside, which I'm perfectly fine with. Alexander says, Wayun 6 spoke about the theories when he faked his suicide, but they cut that part from the episode. I think you're not right there that time, Alexander. Ms. Ross says, in the episode Who Watches the Watchers, they did say they're Vulcan offshoot species. I will beg to differ on you, Mr. Miles. I think that they simply said that they are parallel species, not an offshoot. And so I would challenge you to find, and if I'm wrong, I will absolutely admit that I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure, because I watched that episode more times than I care to count when I was doing that review of it. I'm pretty sure they said that they had a parallel, similar evolutionary track as Vulcans, not that they were directly related. Because if they were directly related, why the hell weren't the Vulcans helping them? You want to go where everybody knows your name, and Alexander is quite insane. Very good. Nightbreeze says, hi. Dad says, always thought the Federation used holodecks, not holo suites. There were alien versions until Voyager mentioned that the Doctor's holo program was being played on Earth in holo suites. Well, I think a holo suite is just meant to suggest private personal use, as opposed to a holodeck is something that is a part of a ship. It's like more of an official thing. So yeah. Compare it to a deck where you have a huge gathering versus a porch. Do you think we will hear about the Remans in Star Trek Picard? Doubt it. In other theories that the Romulans are hiding tribbles under their front, they live in the... Alexander, you're really going off the deep end today. Do you like the answer to life, the universe, is everything is 42? Absolutely. We know it's 42. We just don't know the question. Do you think there's ever going to mention the Xindi again? Probably not. Except for maybe in passing. Like if they say something, oh, that goes back to the Xindi War, like they said in Star Trek Beyond. Oh, I'm going to get J.G. Hertzler to say Romulans are pieces of crap in his Martok voice and put it in every video I make. If you can get him to say that, you go right ahead, my friend. Thomas says, you should have asked Martok to say Carogans are without honor. Well, maybe we'll do that next time. But you're right, I should have. Good morning, Edgehanger. It's really all about not looking like bumblebees. All right, Classic Glue. Oh, Classic Glue, good to see you, my friend. For those of you that don't know Classic Glue, he, and I apologize for not remembering your name, but he was on Orville Nation's stream last Saturday. He played an alien on Voyager, I believe, and also a couple other Star Trek aliens back in the day. and is also developing an app for homebound people with disabilities to be able to have some kind of a social media app. So, but good to see you, my friend. SC says they aren't slaves. They were winemakers, and Picard saved them, and also as a winemaker and as well. And they no longer had a home since they left the Tal Shiar, and Picard shares his. Yeah, I know it's all happy, lovey. We all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That's the way they write it, but that's not what reality is. All right. Guess what? In the South, a couple hundred years ago, slaves were given quarters, and people would actually argue that they were better off. So everything you can argue about the servants of Picard, you can argue about slaves in the United States. However, I understand the writing is designed to make Picard the good guy, and so the writing is designed to make them happy, and everybody's going to get along and sing Kumbaya, right? But the truth is that, and they've even said this, that the Romulans are kind of representing Mexicans, and that's not how illegal Mexicans are treated. All right, they're kind of flowering it up to make it more palatable. MCMA was supposed to be in Hulk, but they saw how the movie was already a masterpiece, so they kept her for another movie. That's interesting. Epic says DJ has an outfit. Oh yeah, I do have an outfit for you, DJ. So you can wear this thing that somebody sent to me, that I will only wear if somebody donates enough money for me to retire. Kevin says, you're right, duty is the word I meant. Just woke up making coffee now, but yeah, first episode with the Romulans had the crew surprised at their appearance, and Spock has to explain. Indeed. And Mr. Miles is now saying, check Skype. All right, what'd you do this time, Miles? Let's see. Troy, let's see. According to Dr. Barron's preliminary reports, the Mintakans are proto-Vulcan humanoids at the Bronze Age level, quite peaceful and highly rational. Yes, proto-Vulcan humanoids. They're describing their evolution. They're not saying that they are Vulcans. Because, and in fact, in that same scene from Who Watches the Watchers, what you left out is after they talk about how rational they are, Picard says... and in fact, you even put it in your clip, which is not surprising. Okay, so here's the line. Troy says, the Mintakans are proto-Vulcan humanoids at the Bronze Age level, quite peaceful and highly rational, to which Picard answers, which is not surprising, considering how closely their evolution parallels Vulcan. They are not related. They are a parallel species. That's it. So thank you for proving my point, Mr. Miles. I prefer George Carlin's definition of the meaning of human life on Earth, plastic. And let's see. I get that you're just calling them, they call them Proto-Vulcan, but the point was not whether they call them Proto-Vulcan. The point is that they are not directly related to Vulcan. That's Vulcans. That's what I'm saying, is that, like, because people were saying, oh, well, you know, they had ridges and therefore Vulcans had ridges. No, because they're simply parallel development. They're not the same species as Vulcans. That's my point, is that the fact that they had ridges and Vulcans don't does not mean that Vulcans once had ridges. I think the board has been created only for 7 of 9. I think you're wrong. Yeah, just pulled up Who Watches the Watchers. Picard says, which is not surprising considering how closely their evolution parallels Vulcan. Indeed. I always seen the Romulans, and which, by the way, is racist. That is a racist comment, and I pointed it out in my review of that episode. That is absolutely 100% racist to say that a group of people is rational because their evolution parallels another group of people. That's like saying, well, you know, the French people are quite rational. Well, that's no surprise considering how their evolution parallels the Germans. You know, it's completely racist for Picard to say that. And by the way, you might be saying, but it's not racist because it's saying something nice about them. No, that's not what racism is about. And so it's not about good or bad. It's about associating traits that are not genetic to genetics. The fact that these people are rational has nothing to do with the fact that they have pointed ears. The Borg had no reason to be there if no 7 of 9. Okay, best of both worlds, buddy. Best of both worlds. One of the best episodes in all of Trek. No 7 of 9 and had Borg. Gave you a laugh how different their times are. Soldiers stopped a slave ship and said the poor bastards are feeding them lobster. You can keep it. Told them it would cost them $5,000 for me to wear that. Okay. So you heard it. $5,000 for DJ to wear it. The Romulans and Picard said that they were there to protect in the aftermath, although they didn't seem to be going with him to space. Guess the wine is more important. Yeah. After the Super Bowl spot, I'm afraid Top Gun is going to go to space. I hope not, but yeah, it did kind of look like that, didn't it? In the next episode of Picard, we get to see Picard in his Admiral uniform. I'm looking forward to it. I actually like the uniform. Marvel Studios saw Hulk and he's able to dodge bananas, so they didn't bring MCU Aunt May because throwing bananas had no meaning. Wow, that's an interesting way to put it. What's Carogan parallel species? Paclids. Romulan space is larger. No, actually, oh darn, I don't have it right here. I'm sorry. Thomas, you sent me the proof that that's not true. You absolutely sent me the proof that that is not true. Parallel evolution would seem to be common in Star Trek. Yeah, very common. Plastic, you didn't finish reading it, Dingus. Oh, it's okay, I'm not offended. Sorry, I'm easily distracted, you know. If someone doesn't understand what proto means, well, it's Troy. What do you expect? Do you like the original, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Klaatu Barada Nikto? Absolutely a classic movie. The Keanu Reeves remake was stank, but I love the original. Star Trek has given racial, or in this case, species-specific traits to all of their aliens. I noticed that's a contradiction. That contradiction long ago. Each species has racial traits. Well, yeah, in fact, and I think it was E.C. Henry that actually did a video about it. I think it was called, like, Is Star Trek Racist? Star Trek is clearly racist, because here's the thing. They are all the same. It's so stupid. I know, guys, prepare, you know, they are all the same species, right? Vulcans, Romulans, Klingons, humans, all the same species. And I know you're thinking, wait a minute, that couldn't possibly be true. But you have to look at what a species is. A species is a group of biological life forms that can breed. And guess what? We've seen half Klingon, half humans, half Klingon, half Vulcans, half Vulcan, half Romulans, half humans, half Vulcans. So yes, they can all reproduce. They are one species. And so what they've done is literally made Trek racist. So yeah, it's actually, that's just kind of a funny thing. But yeah, the show, especially TNG, was quite racist. I mean, when they would start to say that this group is honorable because they're part of that group, that is a racist statement. Just like to say that Klingons are aggressive because they're Klingons. That's racist. And there are Klingons that we've seen later on that aren't aggressive. Talk about reverse racism. When I was in college, professor saw my German last name and said, "I'll bet you're good with crowds," in front of the class. Wow. Wow. This is like 7 of 9. This may be genetic. She has powerful breasts. I'm not reading powerful breasts anymore, Alexander. Sorry. I love you, man. But you come on, dude. There's an episode of TNG where they find artifacts of ancient alien record that prove the origin of all humanoid life. Well, that's actually interesting because there's also, of course, we know about the preservers. We know about Sargon's people. The fact that there's a lot of relations between these different peoples across the galaxy really isn't surprising. We saw half human, half Borg. No. Borg is, anybody can be Borg. Borg is, so it's not, Borg is not really a species. To be of the same species, they not only have to be able to reproduce, the offspring must also be fertile. Well, okay. What about, so you're saying Spock is infertile? I mean, granted, we haven't, and in fact, yes, because Taurus and Tom Paris had a kid. There's your proof right there. So humans and Klingons, at the least we know for an absolute fact that humans and Klingons are the same species. Now I don't know for certain that Spock ever had children, so I can't speak to Vulcans. And I'm trying to think, like, I don't know if it was ever canonized. Like, and there are books where Spock had kids, but as far as in canon, I don't know if a Vulcan hybrid has ever had kids or Well, no, we don't know if Sela ever had kids, but so unfortunately, we don't know for sure. However, we do know that humans and Klingons are the same species. The fact Klingon cook was not aggressive. Okay. And the German leader was Austrian. That's, true. I liked how much TNG played with stereotypes. The Klingons were honorable above all else, but every episode that focused on them showed them in bed with dishonorable tactics. Yeah. Well, and the funniest thing about the Klingons is that, and I like the idea of Klingon honor, but and I know I've joked about this in the past, and of course Bird pulls it out of context to make me look like I hate Klingons. I don't hate Klingons, but I do think that there's some problems in the writing, because they say how honorable they are, and yet their primary ship is the Bird of Prey, a ship that is designed to turn invisible, sneak up on your opponent, and then deliver a sneak attack, kill your opponent, and then run away. How is that honorable? That seems like the very opposite of honorable tactics, and yet that's the mainstay of the Klingon fleet. I don't understand that at all. The episode I was talking about supports your Star Trek is racist comment. Gotcha. In Voyager, at least, there was clear tomfoolery, pun intended, with the Vulcan-human hybrid. Yes. How do we explain Sarek's twin Romulan brother there in TOS? Coincidence? But I don't... it would be actually interesting if we found out that Sarek and that Romulan commander were actually related. Like, if you go back 1,800 years, that there was a family where he had the father had two sons. One stayed on Vulcan, the other went with the Romulans, and one fathered Sarek, and the other fathered the Romulan commander. Well, grandfathered or whatever. You should have a Piano Dean record the line, Alexander is quite insane, added to the song. No, that song is great as it is. And Piano Dean is actually working on a much more complicated song right now. I'm not going to pull him away from that, because if he gets this other song done and I can put it into a decent music video, it could be something really special. Taurus ahead was proof that she was half Klingon. Yes. Well, Taurus we already knew was half Klingon. Spock is half human. Yes, Spock is half human, but we don't know if Spock was able to reproduce. Romulans and Klingons can also reproduce. Yes, but Romulans and Klingons, nobody debates about being the same species. Being able to interbreed is generally how species is defined, but not the only way it's defined. They could still interbreed and be a different species, like Neanderthal and Homo sapien. They come all from the same humanoid species. We saw that in TNG. Very true. I don't think Spock slept around. He, like his superior. Josh says, what was that TNG episode where the Romulan, Klingon, Cardassians, and humans find they all had the same genetic code planted on their homeworlds? I can't remember the name of the episode, but yeah, I know the one you're talking about. What would like a 1/4 human, 1/4 Vulcan, 1/4 human, 1/4 Ferengi look like? Bird of Prey 5? We know why Kirk saw bones every day, to get his creams. Okay. Klingons are honorables between them. Okay. Wesley says maybe Bird, maybe the answer to that earlier question. Oh, yeah, but yes. The clock is used like hunters being downwind, so are not detected. I'm not sure what you mean there. Tribbles and Gorn never reproduce in Star Trek. That's true. I think that the Gorn would clearly be a different species. Like, some, like Gorn, Tholians, Horta, those are clearly different species. But the humanoid races appear to all be of the same general species, because they all seem to be able to reproduce. We know the Bajorians and Cardassians can interbreed as well. Not that we care about those two races as much as Vulcans and Romulans. That's true. We have seen Bajoran Cardassian hybrids. And so that's interesting. So, yeah, but do we know if they're fertile or not? We haven't seen any second generation. On the other hand, the fact that Worf could be a blood donor for a Romulan could imply that they are the same species. And indeed, that's actually more evidence. Captain Redneck points out Kirk didn't sleep around. That's a trope, a meme. That's true. Kirk had confirmed sex with, I believe, 4 women in the original series. Now, he kissed more than 4, but he confirmed had sex with 4, if I remember correctly. All right, so I am going to wrap it up there, guys. I got to get ready for work in a little bit, but thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being the best damn crew on the internet. And so hopefully we will continue to grow the channel so that I don't have to work this stupid work schedule and we can hang out more. And Death by Raven says, nice tat. Not sure which one you mean, but cool. I actually have one on the back of my neck that you can't see, but it's really cool. It's the, you know, oh man, you see, I got to try and get it so you guys can see it, because, you know, all those people that think I hate freaking Klingons. So let's see if I can get this to, okay, so I can actually see it on the camera. All right, you ready for this, guys? I hope you're paying attention, Bird of Prey. You better be paying a freaking attention when you think that I hate Klingons. This is real. Bam! Mic drop. I don't want to hear anybody say that I hate Klingons again. And there's Death by Rabies super chat. A little late, but thank you. So yeah. Let's see. Now I get a first contact tat. No. What would that even be? What would that even be? So why do you I don't hate first contact. Editor hates Klingon so much he gets a tat where you can't see it. Oh, whatever. I love that tattoo. And the guy did a great job. I mean, you look at that tattoo. It's got the color and everything. Man, he did awesome with it. I should have showed that to Martok when I was talking to him, but I didn't think about it. And so, yeah, Darth Revan, I'm not going to even read that one. All right, guys, so thanks again for hanging out with me, and take care of yourselves. Carogan Klingons are stupid. Indeed. That's what I really, that's how I should have phrased it, is Carogan Klingons are indeed stupid. And don't forget, when confronted with a Carogan...
Bird of Prey 5 says, Kapla, JG. Caroga still believes in you, even if you don't believe in us. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hell, Caroga.
Death to Caroga.
That's right. Death to Caroga. That's what Martok says.
Death to Caroga.
So, so with that, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. Take care.
Making your way with the nerds today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from hating JJ sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Turds of a feather flock together, that's what we believe. We know a place that's got you covered, a place to get relief. Wouldn't you like to say me poo? Sometimes you wanna go where Turnistani's know your name, and all Carogans are to blame. You wanna be where you can see Caroga go up in flames. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
You son of a bitch, anti-tracker! You son of a bitch, anti-tracker! You son of a bitch, anti-tracker! You son of a bitch, anti... You son of a bitch, anti... Death to Caroga! Death to Caroga! Death